thank you so much. I'm seriously so excited, and literally sitting here and watching Monica and Ali crush this has blown me away. It has been absolutely amazing. And the truth is, I get to be the last one to speak truth to everybody. And I think I like telling you guys I'm excited does not do this justice, because so many people are unmotivated right now. And my mission today is to show you guys how I create a motivation movement throughout my team. So I'm going to ask a favor. I need you to find a sheet of paper. I know you're like, I'm cooking dinner, or I'm sitting in a room and I'm taking notes on my computer. I need a sheet of paper. I need you to grab a scrap sheet of paper, a sticky note, something to write with. Go get one of your kids' crayons, for goodness sakes. I need you to have something to write on and with, because what you're about to see here is the picture of my team. And I have Sandy put it up here because it's something so big and near and dear to my heart. I had my team, and I'm going to stop my video. I had my team do something for me, and that was write out their word. I literally had them write out that thing that was holding them back, that thing that was keeping them from taking action. If you could sum up how you felt this past year, if you could tell me in 1 to 2 words, the thing that is keeping you from truly giving this business your all, what would it be? That's what I want you to write down, because we're all battling it. And I want you to hear my heart. Some of you are battling the feeling of fear of what other people are going to think of you. And others of you are battling the feeling of unbelief in ourselves or unworthiness. Maybe it's a feeling of like unbelief, if I can do this, or some of these girls are facing anxiety and depression. And for me, it's a debilitating injury. So my question to you is, what is your roadblock? What is your roadblock? Literally write it out. And if you don't have anything to write with, I'm cool with you putting it in the chats. Shoot, everybody can write it in the chats if you want. But right here, right now, what is your roadblock? And I'm asking you this because this is what we're talking about today. And I'm going to have you pull up my slide. It's about motivating your team to do what you do. It's more than fun spirit weeks or gifts or matching shirts or pre-workout dance parties, guys. It's about helping people unlock their roadblock. It's about helping people realize that they can do big things. And at the end of the day, looking them in the eyes and telling them it no longer gets to define you. Starting today, it no longer gets to rob you of your future. So what I want you to do, did you write it out? I hope everybody wrote it out. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm over here like looking, and I'm like, I wish we had a chat where I could see everybody's words, but I have mine. Mine is injury. And what I want to do is on the count of 3, we're going to shred it. We're going to rip it. We're going to throw it into the fire, for goodness sakes. I'm actually going to have you pull up the screen that has my girls on it. I literally got them together and I said, you know what? Let's shred our roadblock. So on the count of 3, do we all have it written out? We're going to rip it. 1, 2, 3. I'm like sitting here going, oh my gosh, I wish I was in a room with 40,000 people, hearing them shred their roadblocks, ripping them in half. But I'm going to challenge you. You heard it from Maura first. There is a purpose that you have for coaching. Coaching was put into your life for a reason. And the first step to motivating your team to move is helping them do what you just did. Get them together. We did this live, obviously, but you can do it on Zoom. You can write it out. You can tell your story. And this is the big thing for me is it's not just about taking your word and putting it onto a sheet of paper and ripping it up. Like that does nothing, right? It's about the conversation about that word that you have with your people, like telling your story, shredding it, ripping it, and making the decision to draw a line in the sand and to choose faith over that fear and to choose belief over that doubt. But my favorite is to choose joy over the overwhelm. Our job as coaches, guys, is to bridge the gap. It's to bridge the gap. It's to help them go from feeling overwhelmed in their business to feeling so much joy with what they do. The movement has to start with identifying the roadblock. It has to start here, but it can't stop there. So when you leave Summit, It's not about leaving here and being like, oh, that was great. Like, how do I motivate them to do, like, I just want Summit to do the motivating for me. No, guys, the responsibility is on us. We've got to go to them. We've got to figure out their roadblock. And then we've got to let them know there's more to motivation than ripping a word in half. Guys, it would be so cool if the secret sauce to motivation was a pep talk every day. Because if so, there's playlists for that, right? Like, I do this one-on-one, of course, but I also make sure that I do this in a group setting because I think it's so, so, so important to identify the roadblock and then chart their course. How do we motivate them after Coach Summit is over? We chart their course. We literally help them figure out their flow. So I think about, to keep people motivated, you have to know the path you need to take, right? And it's our job to literally help them chart their course, but give them freedom to do this their way. You know, I've heard it said before that if you don't know where you're going, how can you expect to get there? If you don't know where you're going, how can you expect to get there? That single quote made me rethink everything. Like, if I'm going to motivate others to do what I do, they got to know what it is that I do. They've got to know. And it can't be, this is from my husband's mouth. He's an amazing premier coach. He does this right alongside of me. It cannot be in 52 steps because they already, did you see the words that they had? They were overwhelmed. They were doubtful. They were stressed. They were anxiety filled, right? So what we decided to do is create a flow. And my flow looks different than Amy's flow, than my girl Brittany or Bianca's flow, because we each lead differently. But no matter what your rank is, no matter if you're a brand new coach or a coach that leads a team of hundreds, I challenge you to create your flow and to break it down to, what are we doing tonight? What are we doing? It's the Beachbody Challenge, right? We are watching the results. We are watching the people who have gotten amazing, remarkable results. So how do we break down the vital behavior, get people results down to the least common denominator? How do we break this down to the bare bone basics? So for me, if we switch to the next slide, I just want to take that top piece, the customer flow. How do I take somebody from the invite that you've heard Ali and Monica talk about to the actual results? Okay, you've got to think about your flow. For me, I invite them to join me. I send them a share card. From there, what do? We send a welcome email. I get them added to our group, and then I get them results. And if I look back at how, honestly, joy is my word, it has not just been my word for a season, it is the word of my life. I honestly think about, how have I found joy in my business for almost 13 years. I've been a coach for almost 13 years. And it's always been because I've had my flow, but I've also had my freedom. So if I want to think about, how am I going to motivate people to do what I do, I have to think about giving them a flow, but giving them the freedom to make this their own, right? So how do we actually chart somebody's course? It doesn't take a fancy training. It doesn't take tons of experience. It takes you right now in your seat, on your couch. You can clip back over to the other one, Sandy. We don't need that one quite yet, but it takes you just sitting down and thinking about like a to-do list after this Coach Summit. And one of the things needs to be a big star on your page that says, set aside 15 minutes to think about the flow that I already do, the process I already have, or the process I want to create. You need to create your flow. You need to chart their course in a way that makes sense for you. How do you get people results? How do you do this? And then you've got to share that with your coaches. How do I motivate them to do what I do? I have them share, or I share my flow with them, right? I chart their course on how to get people results. And I'm telling you, when you give them just small steps without all the intricate details, let them figure out the details. That is what's going to bring them the most joy. But I want to turn off the PowerPoint. I want to look at me real quick because I think this is super important. I do help my coaches identify their roadblocks, right? And when you you leave Coach Summit, I hope that is what you do. I hope you get in there and help them figure out their word, that word that you just wrote down. And if you didn't have a sheet of paper, get one after this call, write it down, take a deep breath, shred that mother trucker, right? We have got to vow to help them become overcomers. We've got to vow to become overcomers, but we also need to make sure we share with them our flow and allow them the freedom to get in that back office, like Keyshawn said today, and get a hold of that daily tracker. Get a hold of it. Those training videos in your coach office are gold. And I wish I could sit here and be like, bam, that's it. They're motivated, right? Like if it was as simple as write your word down, shred it. Let me give you a pep talk every now and then. And by the way, coach office, okay, I'll see you later. Like that's not what motivation is. It is not smooth sailing after you do this. Charting their course is important, but I want you to write this down. I need to learn when to course correct. That's what you need to write down. How do I keep my team motivated to do what I do? I know when to course correct. So think about it. How many times have you signed up a coach and they've been a coach for a few months and they've still yet to help their first person? Or maybe you have a coach who has pushed so hard for Success Club and they missed it. Don't you think it's time to course correct? I know for me, it's when my girls are stuck at Emerald for months. Course correct. Life events. Think about this last year. Life events are happening. Pregnancies, births, deaths, divorces, illnesses, injuries. I mean, it's insane what has gone on amongst our team. And I motivate my team most when I'm tuned in and I know when to step in. And that's the key right there, guys, is when to step in and be the light and be the encourager and be the person you were put on this earth to be. Because yeah, you can take your roadblock, my injury or somebody's anxiety or somebody's inadequacy. You can take that and say, I'm going to be an overcomer and shred it. But those roadblocks are going to keep getting triggered and pop up, or new ones are going to pop up. So I want to show you actually one from my coaches that actually happened. Think about this past year, right? Let's actually think about what happened. She was a school teacher. So you can literally sit here and read it. I mean, she was overwhelmed at the end of the school year, completely overwhelmed. But look at that last paragraph. She says, but I know helping others is finding their joy and confidence and ability to get out of the rut is something I want to do. Okay. Esther is a worker. She was struggling with overwhelm. That was her roadblock, but she was a worker. Another message I got was from Ashley, so we can pull that one up there too. And I'm not going to read this whole thing, but what I'm going to tell you is she struggled with quite a few roadblocks. We had overwhelm happening. We had fears and self-doubt happening. We had this time management issue because she's a toddler mom home with her kids all the time. And we had to get to a point where it was like, okay, I'm the leader of the pack and I have got to help course correct. So I want to show you guys how I personally do this, because again, I could get my team super amped up on fun reels, which you need to do, right? Showcase the community. I could get my team amped up with matching shirts and like all these fun things. And we could fun this crap up. And that's how we keep them motivated for a season. But if there's not a purpose behind what they're doing, they're not going to stay around for 13 years like I have. So what you're going to see here is how to course correct. And I'm going to start with tiny wins. And we're just going to leave this up here as I work through these. And obviously I'll walk you through some of them in more detail. But the first one is collect tiny wins. If you're in a funk, oh my gosh, make a commitment to collect tiny wins. If your team is in a funk, make a commitment to collect tiny wins. I'm personally doing a 30-day challenge right now. I picked 6 things. That's it. 6 things to get tiny wins in. And I think about it. How cool is it if you've been struggling with the snooze and for the first time in months, you're a part of the no snooze crew? Like epicness, right? Like those tiny wins matter. Or you've been struggling with the paralysis of fear of what other people will think, but you overcame it and you invited somebody to do this. And they said, I'd love to learn more. Boom, tiny win, right? Or maybe it's a little bit bigger of a win, but think about when somebody joined you, but more importantly, when they actually are a finisher of a program. When they actually finish a program. What about when you set a goal like Success Club? My girl Natalie was like, last month, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And on like the day next to last day of the month, she did it. And I mean, we were rejoicing because winning is fun. So course correction has got to be about getting those wins. And you can do this in one of two ways. You can do this one-on-one, but you can also do it in a way that I'm doing, which I like to call them success pods. So personally, I use Facebook Messenger. I pod people up, and I like 2 to 5 people probably. I don't really go more than 5 people, but we're pushing towards a collective why, which we'll talk about in a minute. So for example, it might be my coaches who are struggling with helping their first person, right? Getting off the starting blocks and running. Well, I put them in a success pod on Facebook Messenger and I say, let's do this together. Let's do this together. And I literally can tell you, it is the coolest experience in the world for them to rally around each other and go for it. My favorite pod of all time is my 4 girls who were struggling to be diamond. They were stuck at emerald. And I said, let's do it. Let's go for it. And guess what? They are here at this summit, all 4 of them, diamond and star diamond coaches, and they did it together. They did it daily actions and daily wins together. And it didn't take a fancy group or fancy post. It was about our core mission, which is community, right? We literally linked arms and we collected wins together. You'll see collaborate with others. And I'll tell you guys that in these success pods that I do, this happens naturally, but it can happen big in a team-wide setting too, or in success partners. I mean, something as simple as allowing people to run bod groups together so that they feel that win of engagement. We've had social media wins where we share whenever we post that really cool reel or we post that really vulnerable post and we go like and comment on it and give each other that engagement win. We've gone live in each other's groups, sharing our transformations in somebody else's bod group and somebody else's challenge group so that there's, again, a wave of engagement and different perspective on what we do. But I will tell you that some of the fun ones are Instagram story challenges like this, like Coach Summit right now. We're literally doing an Instagram challenge where we just said, okay, each day is a theme. And we're all going to talk about something. Maybe it's everybody can move their body. And we were all moving our bodies and showing that it doesn't matter if you're 60 pounds overweight starting your journey or if you're pregnant, right? It doesn't matter if you're me and you're injured. Everybody can move their body, and we're tagging each other so we can share it on our feeds, giving social proof, showing our social media following what community is about. So collaboration is key for motivation. And I truly believe that. And lastly, you'll see here that I want to talk about is my favorite is communicate a collective why. And I want you just to look at me on this one. This is my favorite way to course correct. This is my all-time go-to method for helping people get out of a rut, or in the best way, staying motivated through the hard. Guys, I want you to think about this. What can you and your team work towards together leaving Coach Summit? And when will you achieve it by? That's what I'm talking about. It's the what you want to work for and the when you are going to achieve it, a definitive date. So this could be like my success pods. This month, we're going to have success pods pushing for Success Club by the end of the month. What? Success Club. When? The last day of the month. It could be rank. It could be team-wide and bigger picture, retreats, elite, like road to elite. I mean, this is huge stuff. I've watched my team rally towards donating to nonprofits, right, that are near and dear to our heart. I was an Emerald coach, guys, an Emerald coach. This isn't just about rallying towards superstar status, right? I was an Emerald coach when I was helping my people move forward towards a collective why, because it allows them to attach their purpose to something bigger than themselves at first, okay? They might give up on themselves when anxiety hits, when overwhelm hits, when all of these roadblocks start showing up, but they are very unlikely to give up on the team gunning for a really, really, really big goal. So I need you to put a star on your page and be like, what is the collective why that our team is going to move full steam ahead towards once we leave Coach Summit? And the last thing I know people are going to ask, and I was chatting with obviously some of the girls and they were like, what happens in the DMs, Allie? Like if you're going to sit here and rally them, if you're going to get them in success pods or even help them one-on-one course correct, how do you do it, right? So let's talk through this. The next slide says course correct one task at a time. And I'm going to walk you through each one of these things. My first goal is to instill confidence. Okay. When I get them into these pods or I am messaging somebody one-on-one, I speak life into them. Be that dose of vitamin C that they need to remember that they can do this, right? That's what we are here for. We call it being the hype girl, okay? But you got to do that and then get a commitment out of them. Whether that is a one-on-one goal that you have set for them, or if they're in a pod and they're gunning for a collective why, there is a mad commitment that I require to work with me. Right? Like I make sure that they know they've got to be an overcomer of those obstacles. They know they've got to push forward towards their goals and they've got to show up because I'm showing up for them. But I also have empathy. And I've done this long enough to know that they're going to be struggling. If they're needing to be course corrected because something's going on in their life, or if they're wanting to restart their business after a year hiatus, right? They hear all of these really cool things that Beachbody is doing and they're like, let's freaking go. Well, what do we do, right? Do we just word vomit on them how to fix everything they've been doing wrong all at one time? No. And honestly, I don't immediately send somebody to the daily tracker who's feeling overwhelmed and anxious. I help them course correct one task at a time. When someone's overwhelmed, it's so important to not make those matters worse. So I instill confidence in them and I get them wins, listen to me, pieces from the daily activity tracker and giving them to them in small doses. So let's show them a screenshot. This is Esther, the school teacher. Okay. She's in a pod with Nicole, just her and one other person, and they're working towards Emerald to restart. They've been just posting on social, but like Monica said, just kind of haphazardly, right? So I call it my BAM method. If you want to take notes, it's BAM, B as in boy, A as in apple, M as in mom. Okay. BAM. It's my BAM method. I give them a brief overview of what I want them to do. And in this case, it was, can you please post a call to action on your feed and in your stories? I need you to post a CTA, whether that's a reel, whether that's a post. I need you to post a CTA. You'll notice at the top, there's 2 audios. Those audios were my brief overview. I just briefly told them what I wanted them to do. The A is additional resources. I gave them an example post. Go make this your own. There's the freedom, right? I don't tell them what to say, how to say it. I said, this is something I've done. Go make it your own. And the M is make it happen. So I literally challenged them to this and then go ahead and show them the next screenshot. I left my phone because that's what the beauty of these success pods are. I left my phone. Maybe I went to bed. I don't remember. I did not check it until the next morning and I came and they're messaging back and forth. They're helping each other with their posts. They're giving tips. They're giving advice. And then they make the post and they show love on it. They went from 2 girls who were overwhelmed to 2 girls with posts on their feed inviting other people to join them. Bam. That's what I call it. Like, I feel like I need stickers everywhere. Like, bam, we got him a win. And so guess what I did? Next screenshot, I gave him one more task. I pulled something from the daily tracker, which was, let's respond to likes, comments, and views. That's what I want you to do. Respond to likes, comments, and views. I gave them a brief overview of what I wanted them to do. I gave them an additional resource, which was a quick video. And then I said, go make it happen. Now, I'm not going to baby them for the rest of their journey. Eventually, they're going to have the confidence to get back into that daily activity tracker, right? But I got to get them those wins. I've got to rebuild that confidence to get them through the slump, right? Especially the slump of this past year. We've got to course correct one task at a time and allow them, like Maura said, to borrow our belief for a season. So I've shared with you guys, obviously, you identify the roadblock. And if you guys are together right now, man, I hope after this is over, you guys sit down, partner up one-on-one, or do it in like a little kumbaya circle and talk about what your word was, right? Talk about it. And then talk about your flow, chart your course so that you know what to speak to your team to simplify this process, right? To simplify it so it's not overwhelming. But now my job is to tell you the most important thing that you how it is. It's not our job is to work with women. Our job is to work with women. I was not trying to do this. I'm not trying to do this. I'm not trying to do this. So it's not building work with women. I'm chasing I'm chasing my joy in business is work with building work. Not just like I don't want to like women to do all the time. I want somebody working out and doing it. That's my goal. be behind the scenes, like sort of the heart of these passions. They're working. And my job is to alongside that and help them stay motivated. Literally, this right here is how movement happens. So as we close out today and get ready for the review challenge, and there's all this kind of stuff. I want to say this to you. I teach my first minute. It's a brand new, I'm a brand new committed coach. I had a coach for almost a year and a half. And I'm still nervous. And I remember sitting in a crowd hearing training this. How motivating the team to do what you do. And I was like, I can't able to coach and I don't have to. So this is not me. That's not true. The best of us, okay, ever. So train your business today. The same way you're going to your business. You're a 5-star independent coach. The movement starts with you. The movement has to start with you. Guys, as this coach, I literally said, I'm going to grow into a coach because the ability to achieve goals I set for myself, I have to lead the path. I don't think motivate me. That's what I want to share with you. The coach that said, watch these videos and have a coach wants to create a movement. I couldn't wait for my coach to be in this time. I need to create a movement. I need to be the girl. Not just start a team. Right? See a team out. I can do that. You can do this too. You can push past me. You can push past me. You can push past me. You can lead a team, guys. You need to do your own course writing. One more thing. All right. Take what you learned today. So much to share today. Take information from the first I want you to think about one thing that is a basic to your business. You're going to down. And think today, you're going to and be able to go to and see how to show your business and go and make it happen. Because the title may agree that it's on its way full time. Next time, you should join every